Well, I wouldn't say that explicitly. So right now we have published one of the interesting research related to Nexus Android botnet and the virus bulletin. So what we have covered in that, command and control panel. So our research was much more focused on extracting the threat intelligence out of those command and controls panel. So for that, we have to actually go ahead and find security vulnerabilities in them. And we did find vulnerabilities such as blind SQL injection, and with that we are able to actually exploit the command and control panel. Once we do that, by dumping the username and a password, we log in back into that and try to understand what this malware is actually doing. So it's much more targeting Android devices on the internet. One of the interesting artifacts that we extract out of is related to app injects, related specifically for overlay attacks. What that means actually, so this system, this command and control panel has a built-in capability to go ahead and build a standard repackaged app which has the capability to conduct overlay attacks, which means, let's say, financial institutions and banks like JP Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo, and many more, across the geographical locations, not specific in US, but Europe, Middle East, and everywhere, right? And there has a capability to just simply go ahead and then pick up the scenario where, okay, I want an overlay attack to be conducted for this particular bank. So it actually creates that and actually generates a repackaged app. So with the distributed techniques like drive-by download and other kind of things, you can actually distribute this kind of repackaged app on the Android devices. So what happened after that? Once your device is compromised with that extensive capabilities, at that point of time, the overlay attack gets into the active state. So how that works? So let's say user opens up a chase.com website, right, on a compromised Android device. After that, because it just opened up and the malware and the repackaged app, I would say, running in the system, now it has the capability to hijack that communication. So before the request actually goes to chase.com, a malicious packaged app through an overlay attack triggers that kind of user interface attack. And once that is done, it feels like user is interacting with the legitimate chase.com, which is exactly not the case. So it was an overlay attack that was triggered to actually hijack the communication panel by setting up the user interface to exploit the integrity of that system. So what happens then? So user feels that it is interacting with the legit chase.com and it actually provides its credentials. So it's been stolen by this Android malware and actually been sent back to command and control panel. So we did see that a couple of banks were targeted, they have their data listed there, but more importantly, we looked into the app injects. And I think that's where it is heading towards the mobile security, and we really need to look into enhance the security posture of our mobile apps. And this is a research we are also presenting today, and one of the real-world case study where we'll be demonstrating that attack at GovWare today.
So you guys hacked the hackers?
Well, I wouldn't say that explicitly. I will believe that it's an arms race, right? You have to stay 2 steps ahead, and in order to do so, you have to stay pretty proactive in nature. You have to find software flaws in these kind of malicious software, I would call as crimeware. And in order to do so, you have to actually mine your skills, techniques, and tool sets to the next level. We believe that security community has done a great job by sharing some of their research. And at the end of the day, we utilize that. We don't reinvent the wheel, and then we take it to the next level by building new blocks on the top of it. So I think that's where the world is moving, and that's the way we're going to build very dynamic threat intelligence so that we can still build strong protection features, building detection and prevention solutions.
But I heard that correctly, right? It's the command and control center you guys broke into?
Oh yeah, absolutely, and it's an interesting one. But our focus was primarily more on understanding the inherent artifacts that these command and control panels provide. And it's amazing to see that even attackers are making mistakes. So software security is a big play these days. It's good for the protectors, so as for the offenders, right? So we really need to make sure so we learn from that as well, I would say, what mistakes they make, so that we should not make that kind of mistakes when we are developing software in similar state, right? Irrespective of the fact that functioning is different, but again, at the end of the day, infrastructure, applications, design patterns are the same.
Yeah. Did you guys know the details on how you actually broke into the CNC?
Yeah, absolutely. We're demonstrating that today. We are going to highlight what's blind SQL injection, where we found that, and how we actually exploited and able to dump the database, username, password. We show that, and then we're going to use that username, password to log in back into CNC panel. and then we'll show that exactly how it operates and the kind of features it has. It's a pretty interesting scenario, but that's the way world is moving, so we have to stay ahead as well.
Yeah.